Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do another episode of Inside the Mix, where I'm going to break down a mix that I just finished. I'm ready to take it off the console. I'm going to kind of just show you what I did, and what's going to make this really special is the multi-tracks are going to be available as well. So if you want to download this and mix it for yourself, click the link in the description box below. I'm going to post this both on the Mixing Music Analog and the Home Recording Made Easy YouTube channel, because I know you guys really enjoy the multi-tracks and having fun with it. So make sure you click the link in the description box below. We're going to take a look and a listen to Just Another Love Song by country artist James Dupree. Thanks so much for allowing us to use these, to give these tracks away, and to use this on YouTube. So these multi-tracks originally came from my good colleague and friend Warren Hewitt over at Produce Like a Pro. He had a remix contest of this song not too long ago. I didn't enter the contest, but I downloaded the tracks because I wanted to mix a song for myself. So I thought I would share this with you. So thanks to the people over at Produce Like a Pro, again, for providing the session, and to James Dupree for providing the session. I will link all their stuff in the description box below, so you can go check out James Dupree. You can check out Warren over at Produce Like a Pro. If you haven't heard of him, I'm sure you have, but I'll link everything in the description box below. Thanks so much, guys, for letting me use this session here on YouTube. So this is cool. So we have a full mix here, just about done. I get a little more automation to do, but I want to take you through. But before we do that, let's take a quick listen to kind of what is the final mix here of Just Another Love Song by James Dupree. Here we go.
Nothing on this highway but signs and lines, and too much time to think of you. I keep changing stations every half a mile, but I still don't hear the truth. From my point of view, the world don't need another love song. Too many love songs don't come true. The world don't need another love song, and I don't need another life from you. Forever sounds simple when it's wrapped up tight in a pretty rhyme and melody. Even when you said you loved me all your life, it was just another fantasy. 'Cause in reality, the world don't need another love song. Too many love songs don't come true. The world don't need another love song, and I don't need another life from you. Yeah, yeah. I could play them back to back, but it won't change the fact the world don't need another love song. Too many love songs don't come true. The world don't need another love song, and I don't need another love song. Too many love songs don't come true. The world don't need another love song, and I don't need another. No, I don't need another. No, I don't need another life from you.
Okay, so there we go. James Dupree, Just Another Love Song. Great tune. So well recorded by Joe Carrell. I forgot to mention him over in Nashville. Amazing producer, engineer. He produced and helped, I think, write, recorded this song, did the original mix, worked with Warren over Produce Like a Pro to do the remix contest. Great tune, just a lot of fun. I'm so happy they let us have these files and let everybody download them. This is really cool. So make sure you download them. If you haven't heard of it and you want to mix the song for yourself, go right ahead. All the files are there for you. So let's start off with just what we got laid out here on the console. So if you look over the top here on the overhead camera, we have all our drums down here, kick, snare, hats, tom, one rack tom, floor tom, overhead left and right. We have a mono mic on the drum kit there. We have rooms, and then we skipped these two. Originally I had parallel drum compression here, but I decided not to use it, so we took those out. Then on track 13, we got bass, acoustic left and acoustic guitar right, a banjo on track 16. Then we have guitar 1, 2, and 3, electrics, steel, lead vocal, a parallel compression lead vocal, 2 background vocals, keyboards left and right, B3 left, right, or B3 the low in the center, and then a left high and a right high. So we have what, 29 tracks in this song, and that's about it. And then I bust everything out here to drums, keys, bass, acoustic, electric guitars, lead vocal, background vocals, and the B3. So that's what we have here. So let's start off with the drums really quick. So the drums for processing, there's not a ton going on here. Let me solo up our drums here, and let's just loop a quick section here, maybe in the chorus where everything kind of kicks in here. And let me just kind of show you what we're doing in the box here. So we listen to just our drums. Okay, so there's our drum sound. So on the kick in and the kick out, because we have kick out, kick in, kick out, kick sample blended together and brought out to one fader here on the console. I'm using the Slate Digital gate drums, which I use a lot for, you know, for drums. So on the kick in and the kick out, just to get rid of some of the snare. And then the sample was clean, so we didn't do anything there. On the snare top, we have a snare top, 2 snare samples, and then a snare bottom mic, which again are all kind of blended together. And on the snare top, again, I'm using the, move this over here, using the Slate gate once again on the snare top and on the snare bottom. Don't know why my plugins are opening up on my other screen, but that's okay. Again, gate drums. I use this all the time. Use the Slate gate all the time. And then we have the 2 samples coming down here to a snare group. And on our snare group, for the compressor for the snare, I just used a plug-in this time. Typically, I'll run it out to a compressor. This time I got kind of lazy. And honestly, I wanted to try the FG Stress by Slate Digital because I was using my 2 distressors on the guitars, which we'll talk about in a bit. So I just wanted to put a little bit of distressor on the snare. So I used the plug-in and it sounds fine. 2-to-1 ratio, not a ton going on here. I can just play this for you and I'll solo up the snare. Oops. So about 5 dB of compression on that snare. And the Slate FG Stress sounds fine for that because I was using the other distressors as I mentioned. That's it in the box for our, oh no, when we get down to our rooms here, we have our left and our right here, and we got it to a group. And on that group, and it's coming out to 2 faders here on the console, I wanted to check out this new, it's fairly new. It's been out a while now, the Sound City by Universal Audio. This thing is great, man. I got to do more experimenting with it, but I really like it. I'm using it in reverb mode on this particular session. I've tried it in re-mic mode, and I wasn't crazy about it because when you use it in re-mic, it completely changes the sound of the room. Of the recording, which in a lot of cases is good, especially when you have drums that weren't recorded in an ideal environment. But this particular session, Joe Carrell recorded it in his studio, so it sounded great already. So I didn't want to change what he'd already done because it just sounded good. But I wanted to experiment with it in reverb mode. So if I solo up just the rooms here. So just adding a little bit of that Sound City, the sound of that room into it, and I think I'm using a little bit of the effects here. I'm using a little bit of the EQ, a little bit of the dynamics, no chamber on this, so I'm doing a really mild amount here, and I'm using all 3 sets of mics. I just kind of blended them together. So I wasn't changing the sound very drastically because the rooms were recorded so well. But what I've been doing since this plugin came out, a lot of times, whenever I'm working with acoustic drums where the rooms aren't recorded in the most ideal, such space, I'm using this plugin, and I love this UA Sound City. This is one of the best plugins they've put out in a while. Really like it a lot you can do with it. I have to experiment with it more, but I'm enjoying what it's doing here. And that's all I'm doing on the drums. Now, all of that is coming down, this basic EQ on the board, coming down to a drum bus. And on the drum bus, I'm using, the first time I'm using a different drum bus compressor than I normally use. I'll normally use the West Audio NG bus, which I love. This time out, I'm using the Stam Audio 609, which is their version of the 33609 by Neve, and I really like what it's doing. I'm going from there into the API 5500 EQ with about 2 dB at 50 hertz, and I think about 2 dB at 5K and a little bit on the top end as well. So I'll play that back. I'll bring over the action cam and put it over there so you can see it. We're not doing a ton of compression, about 4 dB, because it's only, aside from the snare, it's the only compression that I'm using. So let me bring you over there and let me show you that. So we'll solo up just the drums, and here we go. I'll go over to those 2 pieces of gear. So that's it. So I love that 609 by Stam Audio, that Neve 33609. I will normally use that as a parallel compression for drums. I'll use that compressor, and I'll use the NG bus compressor by West Audio for the regular drums. But I wanted to try something a little different this time. And the API 5500 EQ is always on my drum bus every single time. I just love the way it sounds. So that's our drum sound. Pretty straightforward. Nothing, remarkable here about the EQ. It's just some standard stuff, and everything just blended together. And that's really it. Oh, and for reverb, I'm using the XL305 by AudioScape across the whole mix. But I also believe on here in the box, on the snare, I failed to mention, I'm also using the Liquid Sonic 7th Heaven for the snare. So if I solo that up so you can just hear what that's doing here. So we're using the rich plate setting, 1.5 seconds, with a little bit of a high cut and a low cut. This is the emulation of the Bricasti, which I really like. I was using it as an insert and just using the wet dry mix. And that's it, just to blend a little bit in. Not a ton of reverb. So that's our drum sound. Pretty straightforward. If we come over to our, let's see, our bass here. Our bass, let me just take a look at what I did here. I kind of forgot what I did here. Oh yeah, okay, so our bass, let's see, let me get in the box here. I don't think we did anything with plugins in the box. We did not do anything with plugins. Bass, we're going, not using the EQ on the console. We are going over first to the AudioScape V-Comp, which is like this stay level kind of thing, to compress it. And then from there, we're going to the Pultec 500X 500 series EQ. And we're doing a little bit of boost, I believe at 2K, and a little bit of boost at 100. I'll bring you over there and show you. Let's solo up the bass and here's what it sounds like, and I'll show you those 2 pieces of gear. Sorry, I forgot to hit record on the action cam the first time around. So there it is. So a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression. I could take it in and out here on the insert. So you could hear those two things taken away together. So here's with it, and then I'll take it away. So it's not completely level matched. I got a lot of output there on the output of the V comp, but that's the bass. So that's a pretty standard thing for me these days. Using the V comp on bass with that Pultec EQ. I love that Pultec for a little bit of boosted 100, a little bit of boosted between 1 and 3K, and it just sits in the mix really, really well. So here is drums and bass together. So there we go, there's drums and bass. We have acoustic guitars left and right. Let me just get these soloed out for us. Those, I'm using some EQ here on the console, a little low cut filter, a little bit of a boosted 10K, a little bit of a, I removed a little bit of 400 Hertz, just a tiny bit to take away some boxiness. Here's our two acoustics. Okay, so now for compression here, I'm using the AudioScape VA3A, the 500 series LA3A copies that they made here. So I'll bring it over to you and I'll show you the compression on those two acoustics. Here we go. Let me just find that here. Here we go. Let's go over and take a look at the VA3As. So I love the VA3A style compressor because it adds a little bit of brightness to these acoustics, tucks in the transient really nice. We're doing between 3 and about 6 dB of compression there, not a ton. Then we have a banjo track here, which plays a lot of cool little licks. There's a lot of automation happening throughout the mix with the banjo. The banjo is really cool, gives it that country flair. I believe on that we are using, yes, we are using the Trident 80B EQ along with the SSL E-Series Dynamics compressor. So let's play back a little bit of banjo, and again, I'll take you over there and show you some of the gear. Here we go. So a little bit of 5K, a little bit of 12K on the banjo, and the SSL E-Series is doing the compression there. So I can take both away at the same time just by using the insert button. We'll start with then, we'll take it away. Let's get back here. Okay, so it just kind of compresses it and brightens it up a little. That's our banjo. From there, we have 3 sets of guitars here. So now, in the box here, we had 2 microphones on each one of these guitars, 1, 2, and 3, and I just blended them in the box and then brought them out to a fader here. We had like a 57 and kind of like a ribbon mic kind of a thing. So on guitar 1, What are we doing here for guitar 1? We are using, for guitar 1 and guitar 2, we're doing EQ on the console, a little bit of 5K, low cut filter on both, and that's about it. And then we're going over to the 2 distressors. So here is guitars 1 and 2. We kind of put those up here in the chorus so you could hear them. One's panned hard left, one's panned hard right. I'll bring you over to the distressors and I'll just take them away and you can kind of see what we're doing there. Here we go. Let me go back to the chorus. Here we go. So we're doing about 4 to 5 dB of compression. Again, they're already distorted, so I don't want to over compress them. But what I like about the distressors on electric guitars like this, it just makes them fat. So again, I could take them away both at the same time. So here we go. So it just thickens them up quite a bit. And right now everything sounds very dry because I turned off the reverb so you didn't hear all the other stuff bleeding into it. Now guitar 3 was kind of a little lick. Guitar 3 just happens at the edge of the verses and then on the re-intro. So let me just kind of play that back for you. Again, it was 2 microphones in the box with a 57 and a ribbon blended together, brought out to 1 fader. Here's guitar 3. Okay, just playing that little lick. And that is going EQ on the console, low cut filter, a little bit of 5K and a little bit of 2K, just a tiny bit. That's really it. That is going over to the DBX160A compressor just to compress it a little bit. Again, I'll show that to you here. Let me take a look. Okay, let's bring this back and I will bring you over to that and I will show you the settings on that. Here we go. Okay, that's the only part of that song. Let me get to another part. Now I'll take it away here right on the console so you could hear it. I'll just take it away right here so you can hear what it's doing. Here we go. Again, not a ton of compression, just gluing it together, no big deal. Then we have our steel guitar, which is playing a bunch of little licks and little tasteful things. Again, a lot of automation on the steel guitar here in the, I'll play the chorus section where it's played just about all the way through. And on the steel guitar, we are using the NG76 by Wes Audio. Where is that here? I could probably bring that up. I could bring the plugin up on the screen because that is digitally controlled, as you guys know. Oh, get it on the right window here. So here we go. So here is the NG76. Again, we're not doing a ton of compression, but let me solo up the steel. Here we go. So we could be using anywhere from 5 to 10 dB of compression. It's very dynamic depending on what part he's playing. So I wanted to really kind of control that. This is a great compressor, the NG76 by West Audio. Again, it's digitally controlled, but it's an analog piece, all analog path. A lot of flexibility in this particular compressor. We did a full video of it on the channel. You can check out the archive if you're watching this at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Go to Mixing Music Analog, the YouTube channel, and you can check out the review for this. If you're looking for a very versatile, affordable 1176 that's all digitally controlled, this is one you definitely want to check out. Okay, so that is our steel guitar. Now, before we get to the vocals, let's get down to the keyboards. So we have some keys playing in the verses and in the chorus, verse sections, and then we have B3s playing in the chorus. On our keyboards, it's just left and right. We are using the, let's see. Oh, the AS78 by AudioScape. That's what we're using on the 2 keyboard tracks. Here's the... And that keyboard part is one of the main parts really behind the vocal in the verse. So if you hear the whole track, that's a pretty important part of the verses.
Nothing on this highway but signs and lines, and too much time to think of you. I keep changing stations every half.
So that's playing right behind that vocal, which is really cool. So we're going out to we're doing some EQ on the board here, a little bit of low cut filter, a little bit of top end at 8K, and that's really it. Going over to 2 more of the SSL E-Series Dynamics in the 500 series. Let me show that to you. Here we go. So that's the AS78 by AudioScape. Sorry, I think I said the SSL. That's the AS78 by AudioScape. Love that stereo 1176, doing about 7 dB of compression. Now we're going over to the B3. And on the B3, there's no compression at all. I think there might be some compression. Is there compression in the box? There might be. I don't think so. Let me look. I don't remember. Oh yes, I am actually. In the box here, if you want to take a look. On these 3 B3 tracks, I just wanted something a little different. I'm using the Universal Audio on all 3 of these tracks. I'm using the 176, which is the tube version of the 1176, the predecessor. This is a really cool plugin by Universal Audio. So we're doing this on the B3. I can solo up the 3 tracks of the B3 and just show you what we're doing there. I just wanted something tube-based, and I ran out of tube compressed tube analog compressors. I was using it on other things. So sometimes I'll use this. A lot of people ask me, do you still use plugins while you're mixing analog? And the question is, yeah, sometimes. If I'm looking for something and I don't have the exact piece of gear, I'll throw something like this on here. And I really wanted something with tubes in it to saturate. And the 176 is a really cool compressor. So that's all we're doing on the B3 with a little bit of EQ. Now when we get to the vocals, so our lead vocal here, if I look in the box, I think the only thing I'm using on this, if I remember right, is just the CLA Epic, which is doing all my kind of reverb delay. Again, very, very subtle. I use it as an insert and I'm just tweaking it down to about 28%. Again, along with the XL305 here by AudioScape. I don't think we're doing anything. Oh, and for EQ, we're using the Neve 551 EQ, and we're using the AudioScape 76A, the Blue Stripe. Okay, let me solo up a verse here, a verse into a chorus, so you can kind of hear what we're doing. So I'll bring you over to the Neve EQ, and I'll bring you over to the 76A by AudioScape. And then we already have the reverb on it, so here we go.
Nothing on this highway but signs and lines, and too much time to think of you. I keep changing stations every half a mile, but I still don't hear the truth. From my point of view, the world don't need another love song. Too many love songs don't come true. The world don't need another love song, and I don't need another lie from you. Nothing on this highway but signs and lines, and too much time to think of you. I keep changing stations every half a mile, but I still don't hear the truth. From my point of view, the world don't need another.
Okay, so on the EQ, we're boosting a little bit at 12K, a little bit at 3K, and then if you can't see the meter on the 76A, if it's too bright, we're doing about 5 dB of compression on that track. So again, I'll take them both away here with the inserts so you can hear the cumulative effect. Here we go.
A love song, too many love songs don't come true. The world don't need another love song, and I don't need another lie from you.
I like the Neve 551 on vocals. Second mix, I've used it on vocals, and I love it. I wasn't sure whether I was going to keep those Neve 551s. On certain things, I really like it. On other things, it's a little too much for me, but I like it on lead vocals, surprisingly. Okay, then we have our last track here, which is a parallel compression track for the lead vocal. And for that, I am using the LA2A going into the de-esser. Oh, I also failed to mention the lead vocals also going into the SPL de-esser, the hardware, and the parallel compression track for vocals is going into the DBX de-esser hardware, just to do a little bit of de-essing. Most of the de-essing is done manually, but I'll touch it up a little bit with the hardware. So we're going from on the parallel track, we are using the EQ on the console, and then we're also, just to do something a little different than the EQ that we use for the lead vocal, and sometimes I like to do that, mix up the EQs, get a little bit different flavor, and then we're going into the LA2A, and we're heavily compressing it. So here is the parallel track by itself.
Nothing on this highway but signs and lines, and too much time to think of you. I keep changing stations every half a mile, but I still don't hear the truth. From my point of view.
And we're doing about 10 dB of compression, and I didn't level match it. I cheated, but yeah, the LA2A is not level match. We're doing about 10 dB of compression. So when you put those two vocal tracks together, and then I'll take away the parallel track, you'll hear kind of what it does. We should do that in the mix, because that's really where you're going to hear it the most. So here we go. So here's with both in, and then I will mute the parallel track, just so you can hear what it's doing.
Nothing on this highway but signs and lines, and too much time to think of you. I keep changing stations every half a mile, but I still don't hear the truth. From my point of view, the world don't need another love song. Too many love songs don't come true. The world don't need another love song, and I don't need another lie from you.
And that's it. So what I do on the lead vocal and the parallel track is I'll automate that kind of on the fly when we're doing the print track. So they're a little off right now, but I'll usually ride those in with the background vocals here at the bus level. I'll ride those on the way in and kind of just ride it throughout the whole song to get it perfectly. But parallel, lead vocal, just to give it a little bit more thickness and give it a little bit more gas in the tank. And that's really it. That's really all we did. I mean, it's quite a bit. It's a lot of gear being used. The console's doing most of the heavy lifting as far as the overall sound. And then we're using all the NG levelers by West Audio to do all the automation post-processing, which maybe I'll do a separate video for, because I know you guys want a video on how I do the automation. But there's automation on at least 7 or 8 different tracks in this session, plus what I'm doing live. to the print track. So I hope you had a good time watching the inside of this mix. James Dupree, Just Another Love Song. Again, download the multi-tracks. Links are in the description box. Go check out Produce Like a Pro if you haven't done so already. Go check out Joe Carrell. I want to link his website down at the in the description box as well. And again, James Dupree. Go check all those links out. Download the multi-tracks. Have fun. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And until the next Inside the Mix, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog, mixingmusicanalog.com. Thank you so much for watching me, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next video.